Good evening. How's everyone doing today? I want to talk to you a little bit about saying yes. Because no matter how many times you say yes until you say yes to God, your yeses have very little value. Sometimes God tells you wait, He tells you no, and because you want to do something, because you have the gifts of help, and help always has to hear where and what the Lord wants you to do or where He wants you to help. A cousin of mine told me years ago a good thing is not always a God thing. And a God thing is always a good thing. And at a time where you're saying yes to everybody, even the ones that you've said no to, and they give you all the reasons why you should do it, and you turn around and say yes, and God shows you the outcome of what your yes is going to be, and you have already put your yes out there, so you want your yes to be yes and your no to be no, and somehow you get intimidated or coerced or manipulated or feeling a certain type of way because your no came with a different response. So you get into a yes. But just like somebody has the right to ask you a question, give them that right to say yes or no without getting an attitude. Give them that free will choice. Everything is not about me. Everything is not about the other party. It's about God getting the glory. And sometimes we are to start things, to get the ball rolling. But that doesn't mean that we are to finish it. And other times we start things and we have to finish it. And other times other people start things and drop the ball and we pick up the ball that was dropped. So whatever the part it is in it that God has given you, allow that person to do their part. But a lot of times people will use your gift or they will use you to get to a place where they haven't been able to get to. And the moment you can no longer be used in that area, they have no use for you. They don't know if God has caused you to step aside so their gift can manifest. They don't know if God has caused you to step aside because you have another assignment. They don't know if that assignment was actually your assignment to begin with. They don't give you time to allow God to be God in your life. Sometimes we can't be everywhere all the time. And yes, I'm a firm believer that when you start something, you should finish it. But what is finishing it? Is finishing it to the end of the project? Or is finishing it till God says that you are to move on and someone else is to do it? Because none of us are called to do everything. None of us are called to see everything because we all see in parts. Sometimes there's hindrances. Sometimes there's people that are territorial. Sometimes there's people that will use you to get to a place that they're not even doing themselves. But because you're at a certain place, then they'll use that. Scripture tells us to pray for those who spitefully use us. Sometimes envy, jealousy sets in. Sometimes pride sets in. Scripture tells us not to think of ourselves more highly than we ought to. Sometimes people can do so much damage to a person and in the believer, the Christian or the disciple or the believer or the born again believer, it said we're the only army, the only family that wounds their own injured soldiers. If someone don't respond in time, if someone don't respond the way you want them to respond, if someone don't do what you want them to do or respond the way you want them to respond, hey, you don't even meet the requirements that you're requiring from others. I'm going to say it again. Nobody's perfect. No one will meet every requirement that someone has. And when someone drops the ball, as you would say, then you pick it up and you run with it. Stop being heavy burdens on people. God gives us a free will choice. And it's time that we give others a free will choice.